Much. Is it good? Uh, uh, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and friends, on behalf of Ethiopia, it's privilege to welcome everyone to this significant side event at the second Africa Climate Summit. Hosting the Africa Climate Summit in Addis Ababa is a source of pride for Ethiopian as well as the continent for the summit, which is the theme is accelerating global climate solution, financing for Africa resilient and green development embodies our shared aspiration to create sustainable and to the national action implementation of the Kampala Ministerial Declaration on Migration, Environment, Climate Change across the Horn of Africa. For this fact, the Second Africa Climate Summit offers timely platform to showcase, especially the implementation of Kampala Declaration related with Africa leadership, emphasizes the value of regional climate mobility framework such as KDMECC. It demonstrates the progress in implementation and particularly mobilization of resources for the action plan. Ethiopia has been implemented various plan strategies and policy to adapt and mitigate climate change, especially National Adaptation Plan, which has 18 adaptation options, is aligned with the Kampala Declaration as well as the NDC, updated NDC, having the 40 adaptation interventions, and also we have long-term low-emission development strategy. Especially by now, simultaneously, we are launching NDC 3 in Ethiopian Pavilion, which is focusing in terms of climate-induced mobility. Ethiopia has been proactive in addressing climate impacts and environmental crisis through combination of policy framework, large-scale environmental programs, community-based initiative, especially green legacy initiatives, which is really significant in terms of combat deforestation, soil erosions, as well as land degradation. Especially in terms of the KDMECC, we are a key to Ethiopia progress in strong strategy partnership, especially our Ministry Planning and Development and the International Organization for Migration. Together we have ensured mobility is fully integrated into climate and environmental policy through mainstreaming the mobility dimension in industry as well as other policies. So climate-induced displacement as well as migration are reflected in national climate commitment. Also, we have been doing in terms of national dialogue for the effective implementation of the KDMECC previously, and also we have aligned all the adaptation action plans in such KDMECC. So we have strengthened the integration of coordination for effective implementation of climate actions through the consideration of the climate-induced mobility. Ethiopia remains committed to strengthen its partnership with IOM and all stakeholders. Together, we will keep innovative, adaptive, and building a more resilient future for IOM and all for our cities, as well as the discussion with the KDMECC implementations. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much, Mohamed Andoshe. I think another round of applause for him for reassuring us of our shared aspirations as envisaged in the Kampala Declaration, but I think also for your leadership. I know Ethiopia is one of those countries that has actually been able to begin translating this KDMECC at national level, and they have actually gone ahead to develop a national plan of action in terms of taking forward this ministerial declaration. So thank you very much for your leadership and for your... Mr. Franz Celestin, I'll say just a word or two about Franz. So Franz is the Regional Director for the East and Horn of Africa, Regional Director of IOM for the East and Horn of Africa based in Nairobi. And he's been at the heart and at the center of driving this ministerial declaration right from the start with his entire team at regional level, with my colleague Sabira, and at continental level with my colleague Lisa. And I reckon those are not very new faces or new names around here. So I'll take this on and opportunity to invite Franz to kind of give us his wisdom, but also in terms of where he wants to see us going. So Franz, you have the floor.
Distinguished guests, partners, colleagues, and friends, it is a privilege to welcome you to this dialogue on the Kampala Ministerial Declaration on Migration, Environment, and Climate Change, also known as Snow Actions. When the ministers from across Eastern Horn of Africa gathered in Kampala in 2022, they did more than sign a declaration. They launched a movement that to recognize and respond to the realities of climate-induced mobility and with urgency, dignity, and hope. Today, we celebrate the progress made, but we also reflect on the road ahead. Let me begin with a story. In Mugare Primary School in Rwanda, a pilot KDMECC project brought electricity to a remote learning center. One student told our team, "Now I can study at night. I want to become a climate scientist to help my village adapt." This is the power of KDMECC. Not just policy, but possibility. Have endorsed KDMECC. KDMECC has inspired high-level regional and continental dialogue to advance integration of human mobility into climate and disaster related policies and development frameworks. The Interministerial Technical Working Group has convened 6 times since 2023, with Uganda as the chair and Ethiopia as the co-chair. Their 7th meeting next month is designed to reinforce national implementation to foster regional and continental alignment and position KDMECC as a key framework within the global climate governance. National dialogues have kicked off in 8 countries, including Uganda, Kenya, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Malawi, Burundi, and Tanzania, to identify specific country priorities. Kenya, Djibouti, to identify specific country priorities with countries' nationally determined contribution and national adaptation plans. Pilot projects in Uganda and Rwanda are demonstrating community-based resilience from climate-smart agriculture. Intervention of sustainable livelihood and nature-based solutions have commenced in Ethiopia and in Djibouti. But the challenges remain. Across the Horn, climate shocks are vulnerability. Financing gaps limit access to data, and technical capacity continues to slow progress. Yet, what gives us hope is the political will and the regional solidarity that KDMECC has ignited. This side event is not just a showcase, it's a call to action. We must advocate for harmonized policies and scaling up best practices such as community-led peace-promoting adaptation and mobility governance to build resilience for affected communities, reflecting on diverse realities of our region. We must empower the youth as agents. We must promote peer learning across countries, especially those that have made considerable progress, to share innovation and lessons. IOM remains committed as a partner to governments and as a secretariat of the KDMECC Expert Working Group and as advocate for climate mobility governance that is just, inclusive, and forward-looking. Let us turn the declaration into deliverables. Let us move from commitment to impact. Let us ensure that when history looks back at KDMECC, it sees not just documents, but a transformation. I would like to thank our partners, governments that I mentioned, IGAD, and I would like to especially thank the government of Denmark for contributing to our climate change and data program, which makes this side event possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Franz, for speaking very colorfully and eloquently through the stories that you've told. Those inspiring stories actually remind us that it's not just policy, but it's also a possibility that we could possibly achieve if we put our hands and effort to it. But also the recognition of the Danish, I think, if we all remember government to support this. So thank you very much in advance. Thank you. Our next speaker, now we're going to go into constituting, hearing experiences and remarks from our eloquent speakers. The first speaker on my agenda, I think it's Hamda. Let me just get this correct. So we have a panel constituted, composed of Hamda, Rose, then we have a colleague from Kenya, and then my special friend, Mohammed from Djibouti, and then later we'll come back to hear from the perspectives of the development partners. So if we agree, then I'll hand over the microphone to Hamda, who is going to share experiences of Djibouti and what is it that they've been able to do. But because of the limitations that we have a translator. I don't know whether you're going to remain here seated. So we'll be translating whatever Hamda will be sharing in practice. So let me invite Hamda to take us through her experiences. Hamda, please.
Assalamu alaikum, tout le monde. Mon collègue va traduire mon intervention. Premièrement, permettez-moi tout d'abord de remercier chaleureusement les organisateurs de ce sommet Africa sur le climat, ainsi que les personnes ayant contribué à la réussite de cet événement qui nous réunit aujourd'hui.
Greeting to everyone. My colleague will translate in English. First of all, please let me take the opportunity to thank the organizer of this African Climate Summit and then also other partners.
Ensuite, Djibouti, comme vous le savez, c'est un pays aride qui est exposé à la sécheresse répétitive, la désertification. La communauté locale et contribue à des migrations internes vers le ville.
As you know, Djibouti is an arid country highly exposed to recurrent drought and desertification. These extreme climate and food insecurity further weakening local community and contributing to internal migration to our urban city center.
Parallèlement, Djibouti, c'est un point de passage important pour les migrants internationaux qui sont particulièrement vulnérables aux fortes chaleurs et à la déshydratation lors de leur traversée. Dans ces contextes, le mouvement
City Center.
Parallèlement, Djibouti, c'est un point de passage important pour les migrants internationaux qui sont particulièrement vulnérables aux fortes chaleurs et à la déshydratation, la migration, environnement et changement qui est développement.
And climate challenge. Djibouti actually is highly vulnerable to climate change.
D'ici qu'on aurait
Reduce